Today's episode is going to take your soap calculations to a new level. This video is for both new and advanced soap makers. And if you're new to soap making, there's a lot of valuable information here to learn how to make your own recipes. And if you're an advanced soap maker, this may make your life just a little bit easier. Now, if you're already a subscriber at the CottageDIY website and you are a Mermaid or Siren level, skip ahead to right about 6:30 in this video, and that's going to give you the updated new features that you have access to immediately. If you're still a newbie and a beginner and you want to look at the features of how to use the soap calculator, then stick with us through this video. But if you're past that point, then go ahead and skip over to 6:30. So let's get right into the Thermal Mermaid Soap Calculator and see what new features that we have to offer. Now, all of the Thermal Mermaid Soapcraft content has been moved over to CottageDIY some time ago, and the collection of Soapcraft tools are no different. So you will find all of this and more at CottageDIY.com. We now have two different versions of our soap calculator. One is free to use. You do not have to be logged into the website or registered to get access to this version of the soap calculator. And this is the same calculator available to our free Kelpie level members. So if you are currently registered as a free member, this is the calculator that you will see. Now, some of you may remember a few years ago when I designed this calculator, I formed it after two very popular soap calculators that are online. It's kind of a hybrid version of both of those calculators mushed together, and that was to keep the learning curve down low. Since most soap makers already know how to use those calculators, I kept it so that you wouldn't have to learn more new and confusing things in order to get through the next calculator. But I needed it to solve a few problems for me. The biggest and most obvious problem was that I couldn't see it very well. It was very difficult for me to see. Even if I blew it up, it was very cluttered. It had kind of some blinking things. I was always clicking on something that ended up being an advertisement, and I needed to modify this calculator so that I could use it more easily. So the calculator that we're looking at here is larger and easier to see. Now, some of the base formula numbers are tweaked, and that's to reflect my recipes and the way that I've written them, the way that I like the water amount and the super fat in particular. And also I've added a few more oils that I like to use that I couldn't find in other calculators. And as I mentioned before, I've stripped away all the ads so that you can just focus on the calculator. Now, this base calculator creates your recipe, and it gives you a page to print and keep for your collection. Now, you'll know that you're in the base calculator because it says free soap calculator at the top. However, the members version of this calculator allows you to do the same, and then you can decide if you want to save your recipe, if you want to come back and print it later, and you can save an unlimited number of recipes, and then you can come back and you can update your notes on each recipe. We're going to get into that in just a moment, but first, let's take a look at the free version of this calculator. We're going to fly right through this, and if you're new, and you do need a slower explanation of how to use a soap calculator and how to formulate your recipes, then you can go back and look at one of my earlier videos that we've already done on this. But for now, a quick recap. First, enter the name of your recipe. Easily, you can follow steps 1 through 7. Choose your lye, NaOH for solid soap, KOH for liquid soap. Choose your unit of measurement and enter how much soap you want to make by the weight of the total amount of oils in your recipe. Then you can add your water percentage. If you don't know how to add or what it is that you want, just leave it at 35%. And if you want a different number for a super fat or a fragrance ratio, enter that. Otherwise, just leave this as it is. The blue box on the left is going to give you a set of numbers that will give you clues to the properties of your bar. If you're new, don't worry too much about this. This is a general guideline, and there are definitely exceptions in some oils that will make these numbers less useful. You'll learn the nuance of that as you gain more experience, but if you are new, all you need to know is that you don't have to do anything in this blue box. When you get to step 5, double-click on any oil that you want to add into your recipe. You can also highlight the oil and then click the pink Add button to add it to the list in number 6. And once you have all your oils selected, you need to decide what portion of each oil you're going to use in that recipe. The only thing you're required to do is make all your oils equal to the total amount of the oil you chose in number 2. You can do this by percent or by adding the oils up to the number that you chose. By default, this is set to percent, and typically that's because it's easier to add to 100 than to some arbitrary number that you picked. Both are pretty easy, but one is easier than the other, and that's entirely up to you. Now, before you can get the result of your recipe, you have to calculate the lye, water, and oils, and to do this, you click the orange Calculate button. If you added your oils correctly, everything will instantly calculate, and you can move on. Now, if the recipe in your imagination is going to include any other ingredients or notes, add this right down at the very bottom. If you want to add, say, carrot powder, colorant, maybe you want to replace your water with aloe juice, maybe you want to be sure to insulate the recipe, anything that pertains to your recipe, type that down in this box. And once you're done, click the button that says Preview or Print Your Recipe. Your recipe will pop up in a new tab, and everything that you need to read this recipe is up here on the top of the page in the bold box in blue. Now, if you're a new soap maker, the first thing you'll see is a lot of information, and it might feel overwhelming, but don't worry. Focus on the information in this bold box, and that's all you need to craft your formula. Everything else is additional information that you'll begin to understand as you go along. This includes weight conversions and other details, and it is useful to your overall recipe, but these are numbers that you will understand once you get a few batches under your belt. So these are the base features in the free calculator, and it explains what to focus on to get your results page to make your recipe easy peasy. Now let's talk about more advanced features of this calculator. If you're a Mermaid or Siren level member, you're going to notice more buttons that give you more control over your recipes. Now, to start, to get to the calculator, this is located up in the menu under Essential Tools, and just scroll over Calculators and you'll see the drop-down menu for the soap calculator. Now, if you click on this, you're going to see a page that has a title that says Soap Calculator for Members. If this still says Free Soap Calculator, then you're not looking at the advanced calculator. It just means that you're not logged in. If you're logged in and you still see free calculator, just check your account to see that you're still a member that's signed up as Mermaid or Siren level, because if your membership has expired, you still have access to your account and you can log in and you can still access all of the free content. So we've established you're a Mermaid or Siren member, and you're logged into your account, and you've made your way over to the calculator. Now, the first difference that you'll notice is that you have an entire exclusive menu available to you that the free calculator does not. And this is going to be helpful in a minute, but first, we're going to create your recipe in exactly the same way you would if you're using the free calculator. Except, when you get to the bottom, you're going to notice that you have another button. Instead of previewing and printing this recipe, which you still can do, you can immediately save this recipe to your account. Now, maybe this recipe isn't special, and maybe you do want to look it over before you save it, so let's click on the yellow button to preview. When that page pops up, you'll see exactly the same thing as if it were the free calculator. And you can view this in your print screen if you want to, and this will look a little bit different depending on which browser you're using. And if you want to make sure that you're seeing this all on one page, then just make sure that you play with the settings before you print. And again, you have to look around because this will be a little different depending on which browser. Now you can reduce this down to 80%, whatever. Also, one thing that will change your print settings will be the size of the recipe that you're trying to publish. So if your recipe is a little bit longer, if you've got lots of notes, then you might want to reduce this down a little bit. Or if you're fine printing it out on 2 pages, that's fine too. We'll clear away this print screen and go back to our recipe. And now at the top of the page, along with the print button, you're going to also see on the left-hand side a button that asks you if you want to view your saved formulas. Well, we haven't saved this formula yet, so let's close this tab and look back at our calculator. This time, we'll click Save this recipe to my account. Now this is going to give us the exact same page that will pop up, except this time we have saved the recipe. And now you can view this in your saved recipes. So now we can find this recipe if we click the button that says View My Saved Formulas. Now this is going to take me to my formulas page and all the soap recipes that I've saved so far. Your soap recipes are found under the gray bar that says All Soap Recipes. Now, the other calculators will also have their places on this page, but that's going to be for another video. Now, here you can store your recipes, you can delete the ones that you don't care about, and you can update your notes without having to go back and rebuild your entire recipe through the calculator. So if you click on the title of the recipe, it'll display what you've already have, and it'll allow you to just print it out from there. Now, from this page, you can review your notes and print it directly, or you can click on the update button, and this will take you to another page where you can update the title of your recipe and the notes, which are all completely editable. Now, the only thing on this page that you can edit is the notes and the title, because if you want to change oils or amounts, then you will need to run it again through the calculator to make sure your live values are adjusted. But if you just want to update your notes and say maybe add a batch number, or say that this is not a good recipe to insulate, and then you can just go back and you can update all of your notes and then reprint your recipe, and you can save this recipe and come back and update it as many times as you want. So say you're working on a recipe, but it's not a complete project. You have to practice it a few times and you need to continue to recreate your notes. You can always come back to this page and you can re-edit these notes anytime you want until your recipe is perfected the way you like it. Now, anytime you want, you can log in, you can go straight to your saved recipes, and you don't have to go through the calculator just to get to this page. You just go to the main menu and you scroll over Essential Tools, mouse over the calculators, and at the bottom of this list, you will see My Formulas and Records. Now, if you don't see this on the menu, again, it just means that you're not logged in. You must be logged in to see this page. Now, coming up inside the course, I'm going to teach you how to use these printable recipe pages to publish your own books, and how you can use your recipe to create an additional income stream to supplement your soap business. And you can use these pages that this calculator creates for you to do that. So this is going to be a full long tutorial that I'm working on right now, and this will be published for members this week. So as you can tell by the buttons in the menu above your calculator, there's a lot more coming. I'm currently working on rewriting all of the calculators so that you can save them all, along with your batch records and your data record sheets. And I'm currently working on a new calculator that's going to give you a quick snapshot on how much the product that you're making costs you, and it will give you a recommendation on how much to charge. And all of these can be saved directly to your account so that you can come back and you can print them out whenever you're ready to create your projects. See you guys soon. Make sure you like and subscribe to this video. I will be posting a new sugar scrub here soon, but this week is going to be focused on content inside the course at CottageDIY.com. Hope to see you inside.